I never thought I'd wake up in someone else's skin, staring at a reflection that wasn't mine, with the metallic tang of regret already coating my tongue. But there I was, trapped in the body of Harlan Voss, the silver-haired shark who'd clawed his way to the top of Voss and Associates by burying bodies, metaphorical ones, mostly under mountains of NDAs and severance packages. And the worst part? He'd done it to me first.
Remi Hale.
The wide-eyed junior analyst who'd trusted him like a father, only to find out he'd been the fall guy for Harlan's dirty little empire of insider trades and fabricated audits. One experimental neural swap, some black market tech peddled in the underbelly of Silicon Alley, and suddenly, I was the kingpin, with his memories flickering like bad reception in my head, urging me to burn it all down from the inside. It started 6 months ago, back when I was still me, grinding away in the fluorescent hell of our Midtown office. The kind of place where ambition smelled like stale Starbucks and quiet desperation. Harlan had pulled me aside after hours, his cufflinks glinting like tiny guillotines under the desk lamp. "Remy, kid," he'd said, clapping a hand on my shoulder that felt more like a noose tightening. "You're loyal. That's rare in this game. I need you on something big." Big turned out to be a ghost operation, funneling client funds into offshore shells while I signed off on the falsified reports. He swore it was temporary, a team-building exercise to teach me the ropes. But when the Fed started sniffing around, some whistleblower in accounting dropping anonymous tips, Harlan pinned it all on me. My name on every document, my IP address on the server logs. He even had HR draft the termination letter before the ink dried on my promotion papers. The betrayal hit like a freight train through plate glass. I'd idolized the man, stayed late for his pep talks, covered his bar tabs at the Oak Room, even introduced him to my sister at last Thanksgiving, watching her light up at his charm offensive. But secrets have a way of rotting from the inside out. Turns out, Harlan's rise wasn't just ruthless, it was rotten. 20 years ago, he'd swapped out a rival's identity in a corporate merger, literally, using some early prototype neural mapper from a DARPA dropout who'd gone rogue. The guy ended up institutionalized, babbling about being erased, while Harlan stepped into his shoes, metaphorically at first.
Now,
with neural swaps hitting the dark web like fentanyl-laced candy, he'd upgraded his game. And I was the next victim. The swap happened in a nondescript warehouse off the Gowanus Canal, the air thick with ozone and the hum of illegal servers. Harlan had lured me there with promises of a bonus round on the deal, extra hazard pay for tying up loose ends. I walked in blind, jabbed with a tranq dart before I could blink. Woke up strapped to a gurney, my mind reeling as his consciousness flooded in like sewage backup. But something glitched. Maybe the tech was bootleg. Or maybe my sheer hatred formed a firewall. His essence splintered, leaving me dominant in his body, with fragments of his memories as unwanted souvenirs, the rival screams from decades back, the offshore accounts numbered like gravestones, the faces of clients he'd bled dry. I played it cool at first, stumbling back to his penthouse on the Upper East Side, the doorman nodding like I was still the boss. In the mirror, Harlan's patrician features stared back, crow's feet etched from years of squinting at fine print, a jawline that could cut mergers. I practiced his baritone growl until it felt natural, then hit the office the next morning, barking orders at interns who scattered like roaches. But inside, Remy Hale was screaming for blood. Not the red kind, no. That was too messy. Too traceable. Harlan's style was surgical, reputations eviscerated, careers embalmed in lawsuits. I'd use his own playbook against him. trapped in my scrawny frame somewhere in that warehouse. Probably doped and dumped like yesterday's trash. First move, consolidate power. Harlan's mantra echoed in my borrowed skull. All comms go through HR. He'd said it 100 times. A shield against leaks. Routing every whisper of dissent through his hand-picked gatekeepers in human resources. They were his Praetorian Guard. Loyalists who'd risen on his coattails. Blind to the skeletons. So, I did exactly that. Called an all-hands Zoom. My face, his face, stern under the ring light. Effective immediately, I announced. Voice like gravel over glass. All client communications funnel through HR protocols.
No exceptions.
We're tightening the ship. The execs nodded, mistaking caution for strategy. Little did they know, I was rigging the torpedoes. The clients were the soft underbelly. Voss and Associates wasn't just any firm. We managed portfolios for the 1%ers, the hedge fund barons, tech moguls, old money widows who'd trade their grandkids for a point on the Dow. Harlan had poached them with charm and cooked the books just enough to keep returns juicy.
Now,
with me at the helm, I'd serve them arsenic in crystal. Started small, a compliance audit that flagged irregularities in their tax shelters, courtesy of Harlan's fragmented memories. I'd leak just enough to their competitors, anonymous tips to the SEC, whispers on LinkedIn, while HR stonewalled their frantic calls. Mr. Voss is unavailable. The reps would coo. Scripted to perfection. Paranoia set in fast. One whale, a Silicon Valley VC named Ellis Grant, pulled his $200 million fund after a routine query about his Cayman holdings went dark.
poof. Gone.
But that was just the appetizer. The real feast was the terminations. 26 in total. Each one a scalpel slice into Harlan's empire. I targeted the ones he'd screwed over hardest, the juniors like me. Iced out after taking the fall for his gambles. There was Lena, the accountant who'd flagged the offshore shells and got shipped to a regional office in Boise. Javier, the IT guy who'd accidentally uncovered the neural swap logs and woke up with a fabricated harassment suit. Even my own body. If I could find it. But that was phase 2.
For each,
I authorized restructuring. HR's euphemism for pink slips delivered via certified mail, with gag clauses that'd choke a horse. But twisted it, leaked their dossiers to headhunters with glowing recs, only to have rival firms snatch them up, poaching talent while Voss bled out. The office turned into a pressure cooker. Whispers slithered through the cubicles like smoke from a shorted wire. Voss's office game, they'd mutter in the break room, stirring Splenda into their mugs. I fed the fire, dropping cryptic emails from Harlan's account, loyalty above all. Dissenters will swim with the fishes. Classic Godfather nod. But in boardroom drag. One exec, a weasel named Carmichael who'd golfed with Harlan at Pebble Beach, cornered me in the elevator. Harlan, what's with the lockdown? Clients are jumping ship. I fixed him with those ice blue eyes, mine now, and leaned in close.
Bress mint fresh.
Because some rats need to be flushed.
Tom.
And you're holding the plunger. He paled, bolted at his floor. By week's end, he was retired early, his corner office vacuumed for DNA traces. Deeper in, the secrets unraveled like cheap thread. Harlan's memories weren't just echoes, they were archives. Flashes of boardroom coups where he'd neural mapped a predecessor's mind during a team retreat, absorbing strategies while the original vegetated in a Hamptons clinic. The rival from '04? Not institutionalized, erased. his consciousness digitized and sold on the dark web as executive enhancement software. And me? I'd borne the brunt of his latest caper, a Ponzi threaded through green energy startups, where I'd signed as the patsy, my digital signature forged via deepfake. The feds had the warrant ready. Harlan had timed the swap to coincide with the raid, planning to testify against Remy Hale from my body, emerging clean as a whistle. Rage boiled low, a simmer that kept me sharp. I hit the streets in Harlan's tailored Zegna, prowling Alphabet City dives where neural tech jockeys huddled over glowing screens. Bribed a fence named Rico with a wire from Harlan's slush fund, $50K. Untraceable. The kid in the warehouse, I growled, flashing a hollow ID that scanned as legit. Rico's eyes narrowed, cybernetic implants whirring. Voss?
Shit.
Man. You look
Off.
Yeah. I heard. Dumped him in Jersey. Some flop off the turnpike. But word is, he's glitching bad, keeps calling himself Remy. Ranting about swaps. Jackpot. My body. Harlan's mind piloting it like a stolen jalopy, unraveling at the seams. I drove out that night. Harlan's Audi purring like a panther through the Lincoln Tunnel fog. The flop was a Roach motel straight out of a Scorsese fever dream, peeling wallpaper. The stink of despair and takeout. Found him, me? Curled on a stained futon, skeletal frame twitching under threadbare sheets. Those familiar hazel eyes, now wild with Harlan's paranoia, locked on mine. You, he rasped, voice cracking like puberty hadn't finished. Thief. That's my skin you're wearing. I knelt, syringe of the same bootleg mapper in hand, Rico's parting gift.
No. Harlan.
It's mine now. You taught me everything. How to bury the truth. How to wear a mask. Time to return the favor. The swap back was mercy. In a way. His essence flooded back, bloated with guilt and fragments of my vengeful clarity. But I held the reins, dosing just enough to trap him in limbo, aware, but paralyzed, my original body convulsing as his mind shorted out. Feel it, I whispered, watching the light dim in those eyes. The fall you built for me, he spasmed once, foam-flecking lips that used to curve in boardroom smirks, then stilled. Cops would call it overdose. Another junkie in the system.
Clean. Corporate.
Back in the city, the terminations accelerated. A client after client folded. The pharma exec whose opioid kickbacks I'd accidentally forwarded to the Times. The real estate tycoon whose zoning bribes surfaced on WikiLeaks. Courtesy of a HR data breach. 26 by the count. Each one a domino tipping Voss and associates toward oblivion. The stock plummeted. Headlines screamed, Voss implosion, what went wrong? I watched from Harlan's desk.
Feet up.
Sipping bourbon neat, the good stuff. From his private reserve. But power's a drug. And I was hooked. Nights blurred into fevered dreams of more swaps.
More skins to shed.
Lena called once. From her new gig at Goldman. Thanked me for the anonymous nudge that landed it. Harlan, whatever's eating you, snap out of it. You're scaring people. I laughed. A bark that echoed his old bluster. Scaring?
Good.
That's how you win in America, by making them afraid to blink. The climax brewed in the boardroom. That rain-lashed sanctum where it all began. I'd summoned the remnants, shell-shocked VPs. Lawyers with sweat-slick brows. Gentlemen, I intoned, pacing like a lion in pinstripes. We've lost 26 major accounts.
Why?
Murmurs rippled, market volatility. Bad PR. Bullshit. I slapped a dossier down. The crown jewel, Harlan's neural logs. Decrypted by Rico's code. Proof of every swap. Every erasure. Stamped with his digital sig. Because the house was built on sand. And I'm the tide. Chaos erupted. Accusations flew like confetti at a funeral. One VP lunged for the files. I sidestepped, letting him crash into the credenza. Security, my security now, hauled him out. But as the dust settled, eyes turned to me. Harlan Voss, the architect of ruin. What now, boss? A quivering paralegal asked. I smiled, slow and serpentine. We rebuild. On truth. Lies. Of course. The truth was, I'd already wired the remnants to my new shell corp, siphoning the last drops before the feds kicked in the door. That's when the twist hit, sharper than a stiletto heel. Harlan's memories, those fractured ghosts, coalesced in a final surge as I dozed in his penthouse that dawn. Not fragments, full files. The swap in the warehouse?
No glitch.
It was deliberate. I'd initiated it.
Me. Demihale.
6 months back. Piecing together the offshore puzzle, I'd confronted him, not with fists, but finesse. Bribed the same neural jockey. Scripted the trank. The mapper. Harlan hadn't lured me. I'd walked in willing to steal his throne from within. The Ponzi? My design. Tested on dummies in Jersey basements. The Fall Guy narrative? Smoke. I'd borne no crime but the one I authored, betraying him to birth something darker, a merger of our minds, where his cunning fueled my fire.
Why?
Because Harlan Voss wasn't mentor, he was mirror. The man who'd groomed me, only to see his own ruthless hunger staring back. In his body, I'd amplified it, 26 terminations not for revenge, but revolution. Voss and associates died, so I could rise as both, Remy and Harlan Shell. Untraceable. Untouchable. The board scattered. The empire crumbled. But from the ashes, a new firm.
Vos shall integrate.
Whispers already buzzing in Davos circles. Ending? Call it Pyrrhic victory. I sit here now, in a fresh suit that fits neither body perfectly, watching the skyline bleed orange with sunrise. Free or forever halved. 2 souls in one cage. The feds circle.
Client sue.
But silence follows, that heavy American hush after the storm, where winners lick wounds and plot sequels. Debate it if you want. Justice or just another con. In this game, the house always swaps the deck. The silence didn't last. By noon, the vultures descended, reporters from the Post and Bloomberg, their bylines hungry for the Voss scalp. I fielded calls from Harlan's landline, voice modulated to that gravelly timbre, doling out sound bites like stale peanuts, a necessary recalibration. Accountability starts at the top. They ate it up. Headlines morphing from scandal to Voss's bold pivot. But beneath the spin, the fracture lines spiderwebbed. Harlan's essence lingered. Not dominant, but insidious, a passenger whispering doubts in the quiet hours. You think you're clean?
Kid?
We're the same stain. I'd shake it off with black coffee and spreadsheets, plotting the phoenix from the pyre. Rebuilding meant scavenging. The 26 terminations had gutted the client list, but Harlan's memories were a Rolodex of the damned, oligarchs in Miami condos, starlets laundering residuals through philanthropy funds. I poached selectively, offering redemption arcs, Wipe the slate with Voshail. We specialize in ethical audits. Hypocrisy? Sure. But in New York finance, it's the grease that keeps the wheels spinning. First catch, Marla Kensington, the widow who'd lost half her steel fortune to Harlan's advisory fees. She met me at Le Bernardin, pearls clacking like rosary beads, eyes narrowing at his face. Harlan Voss, alive and apologizing? Miracles do happen. I spun the yarn, midlife epiphany. Neural therapy for burnout. She bought it, wiring $150 million that afternoon. Score one for the swap. But the past clawed back.
Javier.
The IT was I'd liberated, surfaced via encrypted email. Heard you're wearing the boss's skin. Need proof? Check the basement server. Curiosity bit hard. Drove to the Gowanus warehouse under cover of dusk. The canal reeking of diesel and regret. The mapper rig was still there, humming faintly on backup power. Screens flickering with archived sessions. Plugged in Harlan's key fob, biometric override, and the floodgates opened. Not just logs, full sims. Harlan's first swap. 04. Played out in Grainy Hollow, the rival. A buttoned-up exec named Elias Crow. Strapped down. Mind unraveling as Harlan's overlaid like wet cement. Elias's final plea. Please. My daughter. Cut off mid-scream.
Chilling. But mine?
The footage looped, me. Remy. Injecting the trank myself. Eyes cold as steel. For the greater play, I narrated to the camera. Harlan bound and gagged beside me. The betrayal inverted. I'd orchestrated it all. Using his own tech against him. Born the crime of the Ponzi as camouflage for my coup. Nausea hit like a sucker punch. Was I the villain? Or evolution? Harlan's air in more than flesh. Stumbled out into the rain. Audi hydroplaning toward the Holland Tunnel. Mind racing faster than the wipers. Back home, I dosed with the leftover mapper serum, stabilizer. Rico called it, fusing the essences tighter. Harlan's voice in my head sharpened. We built this. Don't flinch now. United front. Or uneasy truce. The controversial decisions piled up like cordwood. Next, cull the herd internally. HR. Those loyal lapdogs. Had to go. I'd promoted them, handpicked from community colleges, groomed with stock options and golf outings, but they'd enabled every dirty deed. Rubber stamping my forged SIGs. Called a retention seminar in the conference room, catered with cronets from dough. As they munched, I projected the logs, their emails colluding on the audits. Bonus pool skimmed for Harlan's yacht fund. Ladies and gents, I drawled. Your tenure ends here. But hey, golden parachutes for the ones who talk. Controversy erupted. Lawsuits threatened. One rep, a single mom named Trish, broke down sobbing. Harlan, we did it for you. I leaned in, breath steady. And now you do it for me. Silence. Or the chute pops. She nodded, sniffling into a napkin. Ruthless?
Yeah.
But in America's meritocracy myth, mercy's for suckers. Words spread like wildfire on Reddit's r/Wall Street bets. Threads popped. Voss purge. Inside job or breakdown? Memes of Harlan's face on the Joker. Captioned, why so serious? I monitored from a burner account. At Shadow Swap. Seeding doubt. He knew the swaps. All of them. The forum lit up. Conspiracy nuts linking it to Epstein's Island. Normies raging about inequality. Tension ratcheted. Protests brewed outside the office. Blue-haired activists chanting, "Eat the rich," while I sip latte from the C-suite window. Harlan chuckling in my skull.
Let's yell.
Noise covers the moves. Climax brewed hotter with the Kensington deal. Marla wanted a face-to-face audit, her accountants descending like locusts. They'd dig. And my patchwork books, Harlan skeletons plus my additions, would crumble. Solution? Another swap. Not full neural, but targeted. Map a junior analyst's mind into a decoy body. Feed him false data. Ethical? Hell no. Controversial as a Trump rally in Brooklyn. Rico handled the wet work in his Astoria chop shop. The kid, a wide-eyed Columbia grad named Theo, volunteering for extra credit on the dark web, woke him post-op in a safe house. Memories of consulting gigs implanted. He aced the audit, charming Marla's team with pie charts and patter. Deal sealed. But Theo glitched later, flashbacks to the real Voss dirt, slit his wrists in a panic. Cleaned it up with a staged mugging. Body dumped in the East River. Harlan approved. Necessary losses build empires.
Me?
Sleepless nights. Staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, wondering if Remy's soul was dissolving in the acid bath. The tension peaked at the annual gala. Black tie affair at the Met, where Wall Street preened like peacocks on parade. I arrived in Harlan's tux, custom Tom Ford, arm Candia escort from Midtown's finest, blonde, forgettable, perfect cover. Mingled with the survivors, Ellis Grant, thawed by my olive branch, a senator with oil stains on his conscience. Whispers followed. Voss looks haunted. Good.
Latching still.
Then Lena cornered me by the Egyptian wing, champagne flute trembling. Remy, she hissed, close enough for Chanel no. 5 to sting.
How?
Javier's leak, pieced with her own suspicions. I saw the warehouse cams. You're in there, aren't you? End this madness. Heart hammered, exposure's kiss of death. But opportunity knocked. Join me, I murmured. Harlan's charm dialed to 11. We fix it together. She searched my eyes, saw the fracture. You're lost, Remy. He's winning. Slipped away into the crowd, ghosting my texts after. That night, the raid came. Feds in tactical vests, battering the penthouse door at 3 a.m. Warrants waving like white flags. Harlan Voss, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, multiple counts of. The litany blurred as cuffs snapped cold on wrists. Interrogation rooms smelled of bleach and broken dreams. Fluorescent buzz drilling my skull. They had it all, Ponzi trails, swap logs. Even Theo's coroner report flagged suspicious. But I lawyered up fast, Harlan's Rolodex again, spinning tales of coerced confessions, hacked servers. Bail set at $10 mil. Posted from a Cayman slush. Free, but frayed. In the aftermath, the empire teetered. Vosshale launched quietly, poaching from the rubble. But ghosts haunted the margins. Marla pulled out after Lena's anonymous tip to her board. Voss is compromised. Clients dwindled to double digits. Lawsuits stacked like Jenga. Harlan's voice grew louder. Fight or fold. I fought, dosing more serum. But the fusions blurred, memories of my sister's Thanksgiving laugh mingling with his yacht christenings. Identity? A Mobius strip, twisting inward. The reversal twist deepened in a Queen's motel. Rico summoning me with a frantic ping. Your boy's back. Drove through thunderheads, wipers slapping rhythm. There, in a room straight out of No Country for Old Men, peeling flock wallpaper, beds sagging like defeat, lay my body. Harlan's mind somehow salvaged. Eyes feral. Not dead. Comatose reboot from the overdose. Pieced by Rico's medkit hacks. Remy, he croaked. My own voice a stranger's rasp. We can end it. Swap clean. Temptation clawed, original skin. Fresh start. But truth inverted again. This Harlan wasn't foe. Fragment. The real Harlan?
Me.
All along. Childhood flashes. Foster kid clawing for scraps. Renaming myself boss at 18. Building the firm on stolen IDs. Remy, the patsy persona. Layered on to humanize the monster. The betrayal? My own script. Testing loyalty in a hall of mirrors. Syringe hovered. Mercy kill? Or merge? Chose the abyss. Injected the full dose. Essences colliding in a psychic maelstrom. Voss and Hale. Harlan and Remy. Dissolving into hybrid haze. Body slumped.
But mind?
Liberated. Or obliterated. Woke in the Audi at dawn. Horns blaring on the BQE. A new name buzzing in my head. Voss Hale. No swap needed. The man reborn. Dawn broke over the Verrazano. Gulls wheeling like fiscal year-end reports. As I gunned the Audi south toward the shore. Voss Hale, the name fit like a bespoke suit, tailored from the tatters of 2 lives. No more fractures. The serum had welded us seamless. Ambitions aligned in ruthless harmony. The feds raid? A speed bump. Their case crumbling under layers of shell core and shredded docks. But Lena's shadow loomed. Her defection a loose thread begging to be snipped. Tracked her to a Brooklyn co-op. 3rd floor walk-up smelling of patchouli and printer ink. She answered the buzzer in yoga pants and suspicion. Hair in a messy bun that screamed, I've got you figured. Harlan. Or Remy. Whatever you are, stay away. We talked on the fire escape. City hum below like a distant migraine. You think you know the play, I said. Voice a blend, my timbre with his gravitas. But it's bigger. Voss Hale isn't salvage, it's salvation. For the screwed over. The fall guys. She laughed. Bitter as burnt toast. Salvation? You terminated 26 lives, careers, families. Trisha's kids on chemo. Javier's in therapy for what you did to his head. Guilt flickered. Remy's echo. But Harlan quashed it. Collateral. Empires demand tribute. I dangled the bait. Equity's stake. Board seat. Help me build it right. Her eyes softened, ambition's siren song, but hardened quick. I'd rather burn it. Slipped a flash drive into her pocket as I left. Voss logs. Redacted. Her ticket to whistleblower glory. Test her. If she bites.
Cut deeper.
Back in the game. Controversial calls multiplied like rabbits on Viagra. First, the senator's oil play. Harlan's Rolodex had him dead to rights, bribes funneled through Voss Green funds. Hypocrisy thicker than Gulf crude. I could have exposed him, tanked the remnants of our rep for ethical reform. Instead, leveraged, met in a D.C. steakhouse. Ribeyes bleeding on oak boards. Senator, I toasted, bourbon swirling. Your exposure's my asset. Play ball, Voss Hale manages your pack. Off books. He blustered. Florid face purpling. But folded like a lawn chair. Controversial? Blackmails the American way. Whispered in K Street alleys since Watergate. Deal netted $80 mil in donations, laundering clean through crypto NGOs. Tension coiled tighter with the SEC probe. Lead investigator. A pit bull named Ruiz. Circled like a shark in chummed waters. Subpoenaed everything, servers, emails, even the Gowanus rig. Seized as evidence of exotic fraud.
Rico vanished.
Astoria shop torched in an electrical fire. I prepped for the depot in a war room of lawyers. Chain-smoking menthols despite Harlan's distaste. Weak habit, he griped internally.
Focus.
Under oath.
Ispun silk. Neural mapping.
Experimental stress relief. Board approved. Ruiz leaned in. Cologne clashing with coffee breath. And the bodies. Mr. Voss. Theo Ruiz, my cousin, washed up with your prints on the syringe. Boom. Familial hook. Sweat beaded. Remy's panic surged. But I held. Eyes locked.
Tragique accident.
He was unstable, asked for the dose himself.
Lie.
But layered with partial truths from the logs.
Ruiz said.
But the case wobbled, no direct ties. Witnesses bought or buried. Nights turned noir. Prowling the village in Harlan's cashmere topcoat. Jazz leaking from basement clubs like Blue Note. Picked up a tale. Lena's doing. Or feds. Paranoia. Harlan's old friend. Sharpened senses. Ducked into a speakeasy off Bleecker. Nursing a Sazerac. When she slid onto the stool beside. Truce. Flash drive in her fist. Unburned. I read it all. You're not monster or messiah, you're both.
But the swaps.
That's serial murder. Digital style. Confession time. Laid it bare. The Mobius truth. Remy as mask. Harlan as core. Fused in ambition's forge. She recoiled, but didn't bolt. Then end the cycle. Leak it yourself. Take the fall. Start clean. Tempting. That by karma pitch. But empires whisper louder. Join or judge, I countered. She chose door one. Tentative handshake sealing her as silent partner. Or Judas Redux. The high-stakes revenge crescendo hit at the Hamptons retreat, ironic echo of Harlan's first coup. Invited the inner circle, surviving clients. Ruiz as consultant. Lena in the wings. Mansion on Georgica Pond. Waves lapping like accusations. Caterers circulating caviar and Cabernet. Toasted new beginnings, then dropped the bomb. Projector firing up. Hollow of the O4 swap. Elias Crow's erasure in vivid betrayal. Gasps rippled. Grant choked on his oyster. This is us, I boomed, pacing the Persian rug. Built on ghosts. Voss hailed changes that no more patsies. No more shells. Chaos. Senator bolted for the dunes. Ruiz drew his piece. Off-duty heat. Barking freeze. But Lena, my wild card, hacked the feed mid-reel. Splicing in Ruiz's cousin's accident footage. Framing the feds for cover-up. Diversion. I lunged. Serum syringe pricking his neck. Non-lethal mapper. Implanting doubt. Voss is clean. Chase shadows. He slumped. Eyes glazing.
Client scattered?
But not before wiring retainers. Fear bonds tighter than trust. Aftermath. Bonfire on the beach. Files curling into embers. Harlan's yacht idling offshore for exfil. Lena and I boarded at dawn. Choppy Atlantic mirroring my gut. What now? She asked. Wind whipping her hair. We build. Ethically this time.
Lie.
The fusion craved more, swaps for leverage. Terminations for purity. But her presence tempered it. Remy's humanity flickering. Or leash. Twists layered like onion skin. Ruiz woke in a Montauk clinic, babbling about neural ghosts, case dismissed as delusion. But the real reversal, Elias Crow. Not erased, backed up. Rico's final gift. A thumb drive in the Audi glove box. Crow's consciousness. Dormant. Awaiting host. Harlan's rival. My potential ally? Booted it in a Jersey server farm. Voice crackling through speakers. Voss. You wore my skin once.
Now.
Give it back. Offer. Merge triune. 3 minds for unbreakable power.
Refused.
Deleted it instead. Digital euthanasia. Mercy or monopoly preserved. Harlan approved. Remy wept silent tears. The debatable denouement loomed as winter gripped the city. Snow muffling Midtown's roar. Voss Hale thrived on the fringes. Crypto advisory for crypto bros. ESG funds for the woke wealthy. 26 terminations echoed as legend. Cautionary tale in Harvard case studies. But me? Fractured no more. Yet forever halved Voss Hale. The man who swapped his soul for the throne. Lena stayed. Lover or liability? Her touch a reminder of flesh's fragility. One night, post-coital in the penthouse, reclaimed.
Lien lifted.
She traced the crow's feet, Harlan's map on Remy's terrain. Happy ending? I shrugged, staring at the twinkling skyline. Depends on a reader. Justice served? Or just another cycle? Silence followed, heavy as the Hudson fog. In America, revenge isn't catharsis, it's subscription service. Renewals mandatory. Debate rages in my head still. Hero, villain, or hollow man, you tell me. Spring thawed the sidewalks, but the chill lingered in boardrooms, where Voss Hale's shadow deals bloomed like crocuses in concrete cracks. Lena integrated seamless VP of Ethics. Irony thick as her morning kale smoothies, vetting clients with a scalpel eye. Pruning the worst offenders. We scored a coup, acquiring a faltering fintech startup. Neural Nest. Pioneers in legal brain-computer interfaces. Ironic homecoming. Board approved unanimously. Champagne popped in the conference room overlooking Bryant Park. But Harlan's whisper soured the fizz. Control the tech. Control the world. Remy's retort. Or free it. The fusion balanced on that knife edge. Decisions teetering toward light or abyss. Controversy crested with the Neural Nest merger. Their prototype? Voluntary mind-sharing for collaborative cognition, execs linking thoughts in real time, boosting synergy. Market darling. But whispers of coercion, interns pressured into trials, side effects hushed. I pushed expansion, mandatory for new hires. Team building 2.0. Lena balked in our weekly powwow, steam rising from her latte. It's Harlan all over, erasing boundaries, stealing selves. I countered with data. Productivity up 40% in pilots. Burnout down. Truth? Selective stats. Cherry-picked from Harlan's old ledgers. Rollout hit the trades. Voss Hale revolutionizes work with mind-meld tech. Backlash swift, labor unions picketed. Op-eds decried corporate telepathy as slavery. Protests swelled outside our new HQ in Hudson Yards. Megaphones blaring. My mind. My own. Cops kettled them. Batons swinging. One rioter breached. Spray painting swapped the suits on our glass facade. I watched from the executive lounge. Lena at my side. Her hand cold in mine. Pull back, she urged.
Hint.
Controversial? Understatement. It was the spark that lit the powder keg. Tension escalated to powder burn.
Ruiz resurfaced.
Demoted but dogged. Leaking trial docs to ProPublica. Side effects, memory bleeds. Identity dissociation, like mini swaps gone wrong. Lawsuits snowballed. Stock dipped 15%. Internal revolt brewed. Juniors, echoes of old Remy, circulated a petition for opt-outs. Crushed it HR style. Promises of bonuses, veiled threats of reassignment. But Lena cracked, confronting me in the penthouse at midnight. Rain lashing the floor-to-ceiling windows like judgment. This isn't us. It's him. Us. The pronoun stung. Harlan's cynicism scoffing. She sees the seams. I grabbed her wrists. Fusion fraying, Remy's tenderness warring with Voss's grip. We need this. To survive. She wrenched free, eyes blazing. Survive? Or dominate? Stormed out, doors slamming like a guillotine. Dawn found her email. Resignation. CC to the board. With attachments, unredacted logs. The full Mobius truth. Betrayal 2.0. The climax detonated in the shareholder meeting. Javits Center aglow with LED screens and avarice. 500 suits packed the hall, air thick with cologne and conspiracy. I took the podium. Harlan's poise masking Remy's quake, projecting merger metrics like shields. Applause polite. Then Ruiz burst through security, wired with a body cam. Live streaming to X. Ladies and gentlemen, Voss isn't visionary, he's vampire. Feed spliced the O4 hollow.
Tauscher Utopie.
Lena's leaks, all colliding in viral Armageddon. Pandemonium, shouts. Chairs toppling. Exits clogged. I seized the mic. Voice booming hybrid thunder. Enough shadows. Yes. The swaps happened, mine included. But Voss Hale ends them. Full transparency. Neural Nest trials voluntary. Data open source by end of year.
Bluff.
But it landed. Stock ticked up 3% mid-chaos. Security dragged Ruiz. Cops awaited outside. But the Real kill shot? Lena. Slipping on stage amid the scrum. Flash drive in hand, not damning, but salvific, scrubbed backups. Proof of ethical pivots. Remy, she whispered. Mic off. Choose. Chose her, halted the feed. Announced her as co-CEO. Crowd roared, uncertain if triumph or truce. In the green room post-melee, fusion stabilized. Harlan yielding to the collective. We adapt, he conceded internally. Or perish. Feds swarmed again. But Lena's gambit bought time. Antitrust probe reframed as innovation inquiry. Clients recommitted. Drawn to the drama like moths to a bonfire. 26 terminations? Repurposed as origin myth. Hires now vetted for resilience. But the reversal twist cut deepest in a solitary scan. Neural Nest's Med Bay. Full cortical map glowing on screen. Not two minds fused, three. Elias Crow's echo. Dormant from the delete. Woven in subliminal by the serum's alchemy. The rival's voice. Faint. We're legion now. What empire do we build? Horror or harmony? Voss schemed expansions. Remy dreamed release. Elias hungered retribution. Triune tyranny. Or balanced trinity. Ending sprawls open. Debatable as a hung jury.
Voshahal Soars, Unicorn Valuation.
TED Talks on conscious capitalism. Lena and I wed in a quiet Central Park ceremony. Vows exchanged under budding oaks. Her ring glinting like fragile hope. But nights. The voices chorus. Harlan plotting acquisitions. Remy penning anonymous memoirs. Elias sketching escape. Happy? If power's the metric. Yes, revenge sated in systemic shift. Tragic? If souls count. Maybe, swapped into eternity's cage. Readers argue in comment sections.
Bars.
Therapy couches. Redemption arc or relapse. In America's Grand Casino. The house swaps dice. But the game's eternal. Silence follows. Pregnant with the next roll. I raise a glass to it all, bourbon neat. Horizon endless. Your move.